and watch it until the end. Because what you are about to see is one of the strangest confrontations in Washington in recent years. A member of Congress takes the podium. He has only one question. And after that question, he realizes that nothing will ever be the same. Before you start, know this: Kash Patel took office as the most controversial director in FBI history. But it's not just the opposition saying this. The voices coming from within his own institution, from the officials he appointed, are loud and clear. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett summarized the situation as follows: "When I say you are the only director in FBI history who has never served in the FBI, that is the truth. Yet you expect us to believe you. This is not a political attack. This is a fact based on documents. And the issue is not just a matter of a past resume. Because the events that emerged during Patel's directorship continue to expose the cracks within the institution. If you want to follow this story, don't forget to subscribe. Because the links in this chain follow each other very quickly." A secretly executed subpoena, February 25, 2026. Reuters publishes a bombshell news story. FBI Director Kash Patel told Reuters that the FBI during the Biden administration obtained the phone records of both himself and the current White House chief advisor Susie Wiles through subpoenas in 2022 and 2023. This happened when both were ordinary citizens. The records in question coincided with the period when Special Prosecutor Jack Smith was investigating the allegation that Trump was hiding classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. The man currently at the head of the FBI is the same person whose phone records were seized by the former leadership of the same agency in 2022. And he had to explain that information himself. Why now? Because the records were discovered in a different place. Patel claimed that the records in question were buried in restricted files in a way that he and other FBI leaders could not easily find. Restricted files. Within its own institution. These were files opened in his own name. In this atmosphere, Jasmine Crockett took the podium. A Democratic congresswoman from Texas, she is a lawyer who has worked as a prosecutor for years. He is known for speaking harshly. But that day he brought something beyond toughness to the table. These were important documents. Crockett began his remarks. "My friends have been very kind to you today, and I appreciate them, but I am not in a position to show the same attitude." And he continued. He said Patel was the most incompetent director in FBI history, and he backed it up with evidence. But the real bombshell dropped at another point. Crockett, going through the documents in hand, brought the main question of the secret phone subpoena to the table. Why were these records hidden? Who hid them? And most importantly, why were they buried in a restricted file system to prevent their discovery? Patel described the process in his statement. "It is extremely serious that the previous FBI leadership secretly subpoenaed my phone records, along with Susie Wiles, by burying them in a prohibited file system designed to avoid all oversight and without any valid justification." But here's where the problem begins. Because Crockett's question was precisely targeting what this forbidden file system meant. And Patel's answer effectively brought the session to a crisis point. Why did security get involved? Trials are inherently tense. But there needs to be a serious reason for the security teams to intervene. That day, voices were raised in the Rayburn Buildings chamber. Procedural debates, cut microphones, the president's stern interventions. The team beside Patel had reached a breaking point in the overall atmosphere of the room as they tried to deflect Crockett's questions. Patel gave multiple sharp retorts to the Democratic senators. At one point, he shouted at Senator Adam Schiff, the biggest liar ever to sit in the Senate. These kinds of outbursts are rare moments in discussions of institutional accountability. And each explosion shows how deeply the questions touch. Document trap. Patel's own words: Crockett's sharpest move wasn't a document. It was a transcript. On the morning of March 5, 2026, when Crockett took the stand in the House Judiciary Committee, he had not only questions but also a 15-page transcript of Patel's own words from a different session 3 weeks earlier. He read those words back to Patel. What he said in the Senate was completely different from what he said in the House. 2 different answers in 2 committees. Under the same oath. In the Senate, Patel had said that the classification review of the Epstein files had not yet begun. In the House, he argued that the same review was proceeding comprehensively. The gap between "it didn't start" and "it was in the advanced stages" cannot be explained by a memory lapse. This is a gap between the truth. Redactable Crockett put this on the table. He read it to Patel. And waited. $1.5 billion and banks in that hearing. Not only phone records and transcripts were discussed, but another major question also came to the fore. Minority Leader Jamie Raskin stated that the 4 major banks reported suspicious transactions related to Epstein's accounts to the government, and these reports covered transactions worth $1.5 billion. Raskin proposed a formal subpoena to ensure that the CEOs of these banks, Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan, Brian Moynihan from Bank of America, Christian Sewing from Deutsche Bank, and Robin Vince from New York Mellon, testify before Congress. $0.5 billion. Only suspicious transactions. This proposal was put to a vote. Republicans defeated the motion by a vote of 20 to 19. The only dissenting Republican vote came from Thomas Massie. The only difference was 1 vote. Banks would not give a statement. $1.5 billion would remain uncertain. This picture explains why so many people are watching this trial. Because every question is shut down. Every motion for a summons is rejected. And behind each rejection, there is a single deciding vote. A fire on Patel's own front add this to the picture. Immediately after it was revealed that Patel's phone records had been seized, the FBI removed more than 10 employees, including experienced agents, from their duties. It has been reported that these individuals had worked on the Mar-a-Lago investigation. So here's the picture. The person whose phone records were seized during the investigation is now firing more than 10 of the people who were conducting that investigation. 2 Democratic members of Congress alleged that a significant portion of those who were dismissed had served in an elite counterintelligence unit called CI-12, which focuses on Iran and its proxies. The dismissal of these employees just before the joint airstrikes by the US and Israel on Tehran heightened concerns even further. Counterterrorism unit. During a crisis. He was dismissed from his position. Think about this too. Crockett's main weapon. Public record. I recommend hitting the like button because from this point on, the story gets even more interesting. The main significance of what Crockett did is this. He didn't need a secret document. He didn't need a closed whistleblower. He didn't need a leaked email. Crockett's move proved this. The most dangerous weapon in Washington is not a secret, but the public record that is captured the moment no one remembers they are being watched. This is a very important point. Because classified documents can be stuck in the courts for years. But if an official said 2 different things to 2 different committees, those transcripts are already part of the congressional record. It cannot be deleted. Crockett knew this. And he used it. I don't feel safe. There's a statement made by Crockett in that hearing. A statement that goes far beyond political debates. Crockett said, "People are saying, we feel safe now." I don't know who feels safe in this country. As a black woman, I definitely do not feel safe. This sentence was heard in that hall and left that hall. Because accountability is not just a political issue. It's a matter of institutional trust. And the issue of people who feel that trust has been damaged. What does this entire picture indicate? An FBI director takes office as someone whose phone records were seized by his own agency. As soon as he arrives, he fires the employees working on that investigation. He gives contradictory statements in different committees. Summons motions against the banks are being rejected by a single vote. And $0.5 billion of suspicious transactions are not being investigated. At the end of the hearing, Patel said, "I don't care what they say to be successful on the mission." The FBI's men and women have never been more empowered than they are now, thanks to Trump's authorities and resources. But Crockett's question remains unanswered. Who buried the records in the forbidden files, and why? And what is in those records? This story isn't over. As the 2026 midterms approach, the transcript trap has become a powerful tool for accountability. Confidential documents can be kept in courts for years, but a transcript is a public record. It can be cross-referenced in real time, quoted, and used to question the official's good faith. Crockett didn't just hold a hearing. He laid the groundwork for an investigation that will continue both now and in the coming weeks. There are forbidden files. There are contradictory statements. There are counterintelligence experts who were fired. There are $0.5 billion worth of uninvestigated transactions. And in the midst of all this, all these events have been recorded in the congressional records. Irreversible. Unchangeable. Unforgettable. If you're curious about where this story is headed, subscribe and turn on notifications. Because in the coming weeks, the new links in this chain will come very quickly.